God's Example, a reflection for the 23rd Sunday in Ordinary Time. Today's reading from Isaiah dates to a time when the kingdom of Judah faced the threat of annihilation at the hands of the same Assyrian conquerors that had already dispatched the northern kingdom of Israel. With Jerusalem not yet besieged, but nonetheless surrounded by occupied territory, the people understandably wonder what the Lord might be up to as their situation becomes more and more desperate. Enter the prophet with a word from the Lord. Say to those whose hearts are frightened, "Be strong, fear not." Not distant, disinterested, or dozing off on his heavenly throne, this one comes with saving grace into the present, into the mess. Whatever happens, the Lord cares for his people and pursues his dream for their restoration. Metaphors dance on the page, describing the vision. Not only open eyes and unblocked ears, but lame legs leaping and mute mouths singing. Even the earth joins the dance with streams, rivers, pools, and springs enlivening dry and dusty desert. In today's gospel, Jesus taps into this deeply held vision of his people, getting right into the mess to heal a man with touch and spit. Witnesses make the connection, saying, "He has done all things well. He makes the deaf hear and the mute speak." Psalm 146 begins the final group of praise psalms, Hallel in Hebrew, in the Psalter. It praises God for paying attention to injustice in the world and making God's self present as an active agent against it. Note the categories of people for whom God stands: the oppressed, hungry, captive, blind, those bowed down, orphans, widows, strangers. These vulnerable ones lack both protection and connection to community. Last Sunday, we began a 5-week series from the letter of St. James. I find James quite refreshing because of his straightforward delivery and down-to-earth examples. For instance, last week, he began with the lofty statement, "Humbly welcome the word that has been planted in you and is able to save your souls," followed up with the imperative, "Be doers of the word and not hearers only," and clarified its meaning with a concrete example. Take care of widows and orphans in their affliction. James knows well how people of faith can be tempted into a piety disconnected from the world of flawed human beings and messy community. In today's second reading, we hear James get right to the point once again. He puts the imperative first this time. "My brothers and sisters, show no partiality." Follows with a lofty reference, "as you adhere to the faith in our glorious Lord Jesus Christ," and then fleshes out his directive with a story that hits mighty close to home. James describes the grand entrance of a notable, well-dressed man into the midst of the assembled community, and then mentions another who has also slipped in, a poor person in shabby clothes. It seems that folks in his day did their share of fawning over celebrities. He calls them judges with evil designs for paying attention to the rich man, whose gold rings attest to his great wealth, and ignoring or even demeaning the poor one with "sit at my feet." James directs members of the Christian community to show no partiality, rather than follow their cultural inclination to favor and flatter the rich in hopes of gaining some advantage. The reason for this reversal of business as usual goes beyond what we might expect. James says nothing of equality or fairness. Instead, he points beyond these human notions to the example of God, who chose those who are poor in the world to be rich in faith and heirs of the kingdom.